What's up, YouTube? This is Artisan MC, and on this Sunday binge, I watched the movie A Place Beyond the Pines. Now, this movie came out in 2012, and it stars Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, and Eva Mendes. And I will say I was looking forward to this movie when it came out. I saw the commercials about it. It had actors that I liked in it. He was riding dirt bikes, and it seemed like a heist movie, right? So I wanted to see it, and I remember it was in my local theater that I always go to, and I didn't get a chance to actually go in the theater and see it. So it kind of passed me by. I ended up catching it one night on cable or some streaming service, and it was on a late night, and I watched it. And it was really interesting. It sat with me a while because it took me not a while to process it, but just it took a little bit more than just a casual watch, because the movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes long, okay? And it moves at a slow, steady pace, which could be boring. And mind you, as it was advertised, it looked like a heist movie, so I'm looking for the heist element in it, thinking it's going to be more action. But what I end up getting is a really in-depth and interesting character study on progression and how things start at one place and end at another place, and how the characters in and of themselves interact with each other. And I will say that even though I came in for a heist movie and I got that heist element, the movie is not about a fucking heist. It's not about a heist at all. The movie is a character study. So it starts with the character of Ryan Gosling's character, which is Luke Galston. And Luke Galston is a dirt bike riding carny. Okay, he works on the carnival. He's good at riding dirt bikes. Doesn't really have, much. That's just what it is. And he's like the main attraction for this carnival, riding with his motorcycle crew in this sphere, right? And he shows up in Schenectady, New York, which is, I believe, in upstate New York somewhere, right, in Poor Town or whatever, with his carnival. And you get the introduction of Eva Mendes' character, Romina, who is a girl that he saw like a year and some change before when he was here. They had a fling or whatever, and she shows up. And the funny part is, on my second viewing of this, which was this today, it reminded me of Ghost Rider again. That once again, here's Eva Mendes in a carnival, in love with the motorcycle rider in the carnival. And I kind of joked to myself that this was Ghost Rider 3. But be that as it may, it's not a big thing. I like Eva Mendes. She's always been pretty hot to me. And I don't mind her in a movie. And in this movie, she's starring in a movie with her real life, I believe it's her husband. If they're not married, I don't know what his damn problem is, but they've been together forever, being Ryan Gosling, and they do have a child together. All right. So that was one of the draws for this movie, is that they were a real life couple acting together in this movie with a child and all of this stuff. Right. So anyway, you get them meeting, and you see that there is chemistry there between them, that he still remembers her. He hadn't forgotten who she was, hadn't forgot her name. And he's still in town, but she wanted to see him just to hang out with him for a minute, but he's leaving, and he still wants to try to connect with her again. And she tells him no, she has somebody, and that's just it. Well, he starts thinking about it a little bit more, and after goes back to her house the next day before he's leaving, because he doesn't really want to leave like that, and knocks on the door to find her mother in the house, taking care of a baby. And he asks, who's the kid? And the grandmother tells him it's yours. And from that point, his life changes. He now realizes that he has something there that he did not know he had. That the last time he was there, a year and some change ago, they had their fling or whatever. They obviously felt something strongly for each other, but he left. He's a carny. He left. And on coming back, he discovers he has a child. So he seeks her out and talks to her about the fact that there's a child, and she wasn't going to tell him about it. Right? And as obvious in this situation, you can guess what happened. He ends up leaving a carnival and trying to stay in this town, but with no real, marketable skills, so to speak. And this being a really poor town in a sense, there's not much he can do. He ends up meeting Ben Middleton's character. And if you know who Ben Middleton is, I love this guy because he plays a lot of different roles. He's a British actor that pulls off a passable, I would say white trash, but he always looks sketchy. In every movie I see him in playing a regular American white character, he looks fucking sketchy as hell. He plays a good character, and I can't recall the character's name, but he becomes fascinated with Luke because he sees him riding his dirt bike in the woods and recognizes that the boy has skills. He has skills on this motorcycle. They become friends. He gives him a place to stay, a little job and stuff like that, and they develop a friendship. Knowing what Luke wants to do, which is take care of his child and be in this town to be near his child because he didn't have his father, so he wants to be there for his son. The Ben Middleton character introduces the idea of robbing banks, that he has robbed 4 banks in his life and stopped for 12 years, and that there's a way to do it to where you can rob a bank and get away with it as long as you don't do it too often. So inevitably you get to the heist moments in this where Ben Middleton drives the truck, Ryan Gosling's character goes into the bank, robs the bank, and escapes on a dirt bike. Now, as this goes on, he's trying to provide this money for his son to Eva Mendes's character, but Eva Mendes's character is with another man, as she has said. And this man happens to be a black man. And it happens to be Mahershala Ali, which I forgot was in this movie on my second viewing, which is like it's a real interesting case study because the house that Eva Mendes's character and her mother and the child are staying in is this black man's house. They're staying in his house. So he has become stepdaddy or simp daddy, whatever you want to call him, in that situation to a blonde-haired boy, which just kind of sounds ridiculous. But it creates a little bit of conflict because, as you can guess in that situation, there is some strayed lines. Eva Mendes's character obviously loves Ryan Gosling's character, Luke, but she's with another man and trying to do that thing because that's stable. And Ryan Gosling's character isn't. So, as things go on and will develop, there ends up being an interaction between Mahershala Ali's character, Kofi, and Luke, where Luke ends up beating Kofi over the side of the head with a wrench and going to jail for it. Now, because Luke goes to jail, he is now fingerprinted and has a record and all the rest of this stuff. And once being bailed out of jail, his partner, Ben Middleton, tells him that they're done, they're not going to rob any more banks. And Luke still wants to rob banks. So he goes out on one last bank job, and as you can guess, going against your partner and still trying to do these jobs out of desperation, everything goes fucking wrong. And this is where you get the introduction of Bradley Cooper's character. Because you have the point in the movie where Bradley Cooper is a cop and ends up apprehending Ryan Gosling's character Luke at his last bank job, and he ends up killing Ryan Gosling's character. Now, this was the shocking point of this movie for me, because coming into this movie, I know who Ryan Gosling is, The Notebook, all this other stuff that he's done, and so he's a pretty well-known star, right? And he's the title head of this movie. And about a half hour into the movie or so, he's killed. And he's out of the movie. That's it. That's the last time you see him. And I'm thinking when I first watched this, like, what the fuck? I thought this was all about him. And that's it. He's out of the movie. Bradley Cooper finally comes in. And now the movie and the story follows Bradley Cooper's character, who was Avery Cross, a police officer. Now, this is an interesting thing to me about this whole movie. It's a character study, which means it's not about one person in this movie. It's not. And you find what his life is like. You follow him and see his life develop. Which is really interesting point that you start a movie with one lead and then it transitions to another lead. Because within a span of time, you go from Bradley Cooper's character to how his character deals with the fact that he killed this guy, and how that translates into how he deals with his family and his career and everything else. So I hope I'm leaving enough of breadcrumbs and to whet your appetite to want to see this movie and actually play it out, because I'm reviewing it, but I don't want to spoil anything about what's going on with the movie. I want you to watch it and see it for yourself. So check it out. It's on Netflix. A Place Beyond the Pines. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it goes at a steady clip, which may seem slow, but it's a steady pace, and you'll get into the story. It's a good study in progression and how chains of events happen. And it's an interesting point to show that some things are always in your blood and cannot be denied. And I'll leave it at that. So, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.